Hi guys, so today I'm going to talk about the rhombus application that I talked about in class yesterday, and I'm going to look at two examples, one of which I did in class and another one that I didn't. So the idea is that a rhombus, which is a parallelogram with four congruent sides, has two important features. One is that the diagonals bisect each other. What that means is that if you were to draw a diagonal from, let's say you labeled, now also an important thing is when you label a rhombus, or any figure for that matter, A, B, the C has to go like in a circular motion. Like you can't make C go down here. It has to go in order. It could be counterclockwise or clockwise, doesn't matter, but it has to be in a circular motion. So C has to go there, and then D would have to follow. Like they all have to be consecutive, basically. So if I were to draw a diagonal from A to C and a diagonal from B to D, the diagonals bisect each other. What that means is that it cuts them in half equally. So if I were to highlight, for example, and I'm going to call the center, so we can name them. The center I'm going to call, usually we call the center O. So if I were to highlight to show you that the diagonals bisect each other, means that BO rather, is congruent to OD. And then also CO is congruent to AO. That's what diagonals bisect each other means, that they create equal halves. And then the second important feature of a rhombus is that the diagonals intersect at right angles. So you have 90-degree angles being formed all around here. So essentially what you have is four small congruent right triangles. Okay, so if you were to like zoom in on triangle BOC, it would look like that, and it's congruent to the other four right triangles. So we end up with these rhombus problems that are applications of the Pythagorean theorem because you have right triangles. So example 4, which I did in class yesterday, we're looking at a rhombus, and the lengths of the diagonals are 18 and 24. So what you're going to do is you're going to divide these up, 9 and 9, 12 and 12, because the diagonals bisect each other. So this will be 12 and 12, and this will be 9 and 9, and I have a right triangle. So if I were to zoom into one of those right triangles, I have 9 and 12 for the two legs, and they ask for what is the length of one of the sides of the rhombus. So one of the sides of the rhombus is really the hypotenuse of your right triangle. That's your x. So you're going to apply the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and 9 squared plus 12 squared equals c squared. So you have 81 plus 144 equals c squared. So you have 225 equals c squared, and then you take the square root, c equals 15. So the missing length is 15. That's the length of one side of the rhombus. Okay. Here's another one. The perimeter of a rhombus is 40 centimeters, and the length of the longer diagonal is 16. Find the length of the shorter diagonal. So here, they give you the perimeter of the rhombus. So this has to be divided up into 4 equal parts. So the first thing I'm going to do is divide this by 4, which is going to give me 10. So each side of the rhombus, they're all congruent, is 10. The length of the longer diagonal is 16. So the longer diagonal is this one. So if it's 16, then each side of it must be 8. And they want to know what's the length of the shorter diagonal. So I'm basically looking for this here. If I zoom into the right triangle, I know the hypotenuse is 10. I know that this is 8, and I'm looking for this length, this leg. So I'm going to use x squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared. X squared plus 64 equals 100. Subtract x squared equals 36. Take the square root, x equals 6. So my missing leg is 6, but the diagonal is double. The diagonal number has 2 of these, so the diagonal would be 12 centimeters. Now you have different applications of this on your homework. Some of them may not come out to be perfect squares, and so you could express them in simplest radical form if it says exact. If it doesn't say exact, if it says to round, then you use your calculator and you round to that place. Okay? Have a good day, guys.